Good afternoon, it's the 2nd of July, and what's been happening in the workshop this week? Well, it's been a bit of a sort of housekeeping week, to be honest. We finished off the design for the air filter box, the Twin SU air filter box, and the 220 that had that has gone back, was picked up yesterday, last night, and has gone back to its owner. Emma's Amazon, that we've owned since 2000, I think. The overdrive had let go, and then when I came to put it on the ramps the other day, it wouldn't engage reverse, which is absolutely typical of a D-type overdrive weakness. So out came its gearbox, and unfortunately, in draining the oil out, something that looked like a short roller bearing, or to be more accurate, half of what appeared to be a short roller bearing dropped out with it. So the overdrive has been split away and has been sent away to Dave up in Coventry, I think, who is Overdrive Spares and is the guru. So he'll fix the overdrive, hopefully, and because of that bit that came out of the gearbox, I then went to strip down our gearbox and rebuilt it. Actually, everything was perfect in there. That was definitely a bit from the overdrive, which concerns me. It may be that Dave will call us back saying he can't do anything with it. It's a trashed D-type overdrive. We shall see. So the Amazon's off the road for a week whilst we wait for the overdrive to come back. So Emma will be running around in the 444 for a few days. This 444 is a car we bought as a box of bits from Cheshire a few years back and built it back up again. Somebody had already converted it to a B18 engine, and they'd also modified the front shock absorbers so they are a rigid top turret. So that improves it as well. So altogether, this is a very, very practical daily runner, and we'll use that for a few weeks just to make sure it's absolutely ready to sell, and then we really need to sell it because it's just not getting enough use from us. Now, Dragonheart from California contacted me a few days ago and saying, would I give my opinion on how to keep one of our cars cool, particularly Aircon. Well, obviously the only time we've had extended heat experience was spending 4 weeks in the 140 on the way down to from London to Cape Town. And obviously it was a competition, and so we were all about weight, and therefore it was just a matter of getting airflow through the car. And I have to confess that's probably my base stance, is just make sure you got lots of good airflow. However, to address the specifics, Aircon, let's just go and have a look at this box of, I'm not going to get into it, but let me show you the box of bits of an Aircon setup. This box here is effectively the Aircon installation that came out of a P1800 some years ago, and it was in period. So big iron compressor pump, big iron double belt for the crankshaft. There's the matrix and a load of trunking. And arguably on the Amazon and 140 on a simple car, let's take the single carburettor, there is enough space to fit all this. Oh look, I think that is actually the compressor, by the way. Yeah, that is. And you can see what a huge piece of iron it is. But of course, modern, now, these days, I'm sure the whole hardware is much more elegant and a lot lighter. So I guess, yes, on a single carburettor car, particularly the Amazon and 140, I think it probably would make sense to have a modern aircon system in it if you have that amount of hot weather, or indeed humidity, of course. However, the P1800 is just all too tight. to my mind. You can do it, but it's very difficult and messy. And it also means that underneath the dash, you've started to restrict your access to everything that's around there. So, in short, modern system, I bet you can do a moderately elegant setup. The reason I say single carburettor is because although these cars are light and in single carburettor form, you've got bags of torque, you're probably not trying to expect it to rev fast, and therefore the extra loading on it from the Aircon compressor really won't be noticed. On a twin SU car, on the assumption you do use that 6,000 RPM red line, you will notice the difference, and I think that will detract too much from the nature of the car to be justified. So, yep, single carb cars, Amazon and 140. I think that could be a really good idea for humid and hot countries. Okay, now the roof lining is actually pretty good. This is a sort of Airtex, so a Holy roof lining, so there is a bit of heat transfer through that. But look at that, you've got an inch of air insulation between the roof and the lining, and so this is pretty efficient anyway. But having said that, to take it to extremes, I guess there's no reason why you shouldn't take out this entire roof lining. Now, given that there's that significant space, even above the wire springs that support the head lining, there's space, so you could actually put 5mm expanded polystyrene up here. And I suspect you could probably almost do that as one sheet across the roof and then put the head lining back in again. It'd take a bit of effort. Obviously, taking the roof lining out and putting it back in again is skillful work, and not something I would undertake personally. But I think that would reduce the heat inside the car, particularly on a dark painted car, quite significantly. So yeah, there's gains to be had there. And then there's the front bulkhead. Well, yes, there's a significant amount of heat coming off the gearbox and of course particularly the exhaust run on the right hand side of the car. So I think for instance, the full carpet set laid on top of the rubber matting works very well. That starts to take all that heat from the gearbox and the back of the engine, keeps it out of the car. But then I think probably, yes, particularly on the right-hand side, a heat insulation mat down the front footwell there would indeed improve it. I think on the left-hand side you don't need to. Now, having said that, on the right-hand drive cars, then you need to check that you've still got full throttle available to you. We get probably 50% of cars coming in here only have about 2/3 to 3/4 throttle movement available because somebody's put in a carpet set or insulation underneath the pedal and prevented the pedal from giving yourself full carburettor motion. So watch out for that. So yeah, so my opinions on Aircon. Insulating the roof looks viable, and certainly putting a carpet set in the front will reduce the heat from the gearbox, and then an additional insulation running down the front bulkhead, being careful not to limit your throttle. And I think that could be quite a good solution for those of you who are lucky enough to live in hot climes. Yeah, thank you for that one, Dragonheart. Hopefully that helped. Oh, one other thing Emma pointed out, on some of our rally cars, we have of course fitted an intake on the roof here. I can't remember which cars had those. I think the Escorts had them for a while. And I think the unit we used is actually supplied for a Subaru Impreza. And that gives you an intake here with 2 ball ducts on the inside of the car. but of course that's a big modification. Personally, I can't bring myself to do that to one of my cars, and I hate them, but they have a practical use. On the London to Cape Town car, which was very lightweight, we had a heavy amount of dark tinting at the top of the screen and at the bottom actually as well, because we didn't need that bit of visibility there. We're both tall individuals that were in the car. So that cuts out a load of frontal UV. And then we put tinting on the rest of the glass as well, again just to reduce the UV coming into the car and to try and reduce that greenhouse effect. I hope that's enough. By all means, continue the conversation on comments and things from your own experience, and let us know what you reckon. Okay, this week, my finds in our shop emporium. Look at this. Now, I don't know what upholstery code this is, nor do I know what part number, but here I have a pair of 130, that's the two-door, pale blue door cards. Brand new, unused, just been sitting in our workshop for years. These are something of the order of $180 for the pair, new, and we're asking for £60 for the pair. So if you can use a pair of pale blue two-door door cards, let us know. We'll happily let those go for 60 quid for the pair. Similarly, I have here two, sadly not a pair, but P1800, what I would call the kick panel. So where the left-hand occupant puts his left foot, this is the side panel there. So it's a left-hand side, and those are, I think, something of the order of $140 for the pair. We would say £15 each. So if you need a single black left-hand kick panel, so the bit that's to the left of the left-hand occupant's foot, then let us know, 15 quid each. There's two of those available. And on Saturday, Gareth and I will be out competing. First event I've done in about 8 months. First historic event I've done in over a year. So I'm kind of frightened, actually, to be honest. I'm going to be rubbish as a navigator, but hopefully I can do well enough to give Gareth some fun out in the Amazon. So we're heading up to Yorkshire. I'll be trailering it up and trailering back my daughter's Rally MX-5 with me on my return on Sunday. Yes, first time out competing for a long time. Slightly nervous. Now, regarding our YouTube channel, we are going to a subscription base at the beginning of August, which I am anticipating will allow us far more flexibility to produce more videos and concentrate on trying to improve their quality, particularly things like lighting and so on. Now, the reason for this is that I'm sure many of you will know that we just spent £3,000 on computing to edit these videos, and at the moment we make nothing from them at all. And I kind of would like at least for it to be self-financing, and Patreon gives us that ability. Now, we'll give far more detail in the coming weeks as to how we'll structure that, but we're looking at a base level of £3 a month subscription, and 2 other levels above that will give extra advantages. So I hope you'll look forward to this as well as us. So as I say, the purpose of this is to self-finance these videos, and specifically it'll be things like lighting, sound, quite probably the camera. I think the camera is limiting Emma quite a bit, actually. Although it looks reasonable quality, it is hard work in some lighting conditions. And this is what we'll hope to bring to it. most importantly, if this works, then you'll be financing me to do videos that you want, rather than having to wait until a car comes in to do a particular job. So if there's a call for something like the PV544 clutch linkage, for instance, then in spite of the fact that I've got no car here needing it, I can put one of our cars on and do the job just for the video. So that is my hope, and I'll give you more details in the coming couple of weeks. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you when we get back from Yorkshire, hopefully having put in a respectable performance in Gareth's car. Thank you very much.